Hi guys, I am so excited for you guys to listen in on this episode with the founders of ClearStem, Danielle and Kayleigh. They are incredible and full of so much insight on how to get your skin clear. And it is more than the tips that you have heard in the past. All of the basic tips that we all know, how to clean your skin, what foods to avoid. Like they go deep. We talk about facial mapping. We talk about how to get your hormones right. If maybe your diet's the thing that's causing your skin to break out, what is going on and why you have breakouts in the first place, and getting to know your skin, getting real clarity on all of that, and how to have a clear solution going forward. But before we get started, I wanted to let you know that we have an amazing discount code for you guys to use on any of their products. So if you use the code Balancing Chaos on the ClearStem website, ClearStemSkincare.com, you can get a discount on their products. I am headed over there to buy the hormone balancing supplement that they have because it's full of so many clean, good ingredients that are all designed to help with hormonal balance. But they've got so many things from cleansers to serums to supplements, you name it, they've got it. So head over to ClearStemSkincare.com and use the code Balancing Chaos to get a discount on your order from anything that you hear about in this episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, I'm Kelly Namiro. Welcome to the Balancing Chaos podcast, a lifestyle podcast where we'll talk about wellness, motherhood, and some really exciting things in between. My goal is to help you develop a lifestyle that promotes health, wholeness, and success. Through my conversations with our experts and guests, I hope to inspire you to live a beautiful, full, and joyful life as you navigate balancing the chaos. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Balancing Chaos podcast. We are exploring the latest today in health, wellness, and beauty. We are thrilled to welcome Kayleigh Christina and Danielle Gronich, to the founders of ClearStem, to our show today to talk about clean, safe, and effective skincare. ClearStem is a brand dedicated to safe, effective skincare products that are free from harmful chemicals and toxins. Their mission is to empower consumers to take control of their health through education and transparency. With a strong emphasis on the connection between skincare and overall wellness, ClearStem has become a go-to for anyone looking to achieve clear, radiant skin without compromising their health. Kayleigh and Danielle's unique backgrounds in nutrition, fitness, and skincare make them incredible resources for anyone that are looking to improve their skin in a healthy and natural way. And I'm so excited to bring them on the show today and to have them tell their stories, because I think that even from just talking very briefly off mic, it sounds like they went through similar circumstances that I did with my acne. And so I can't wait to hear what their approach is and what makes ClearStem so different. So welcome to the show, you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us, Kelly.
That was a hell of an intro, and thanks for pronouncing my name correctly, and thanks for having us on. We're off to a great start.
I love it. Yeah, I was worried about that one. I was like,
Everyone
am I going to say this right? I should have asked you even before.
You
I usually do. Amazing. So
I tried to change it to Gronich because I thought that sounded cooler, but then I forgot. And then my grandpa always, and that's his last name, he says Gronich. And I'm like, no.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, so Gronich. Good job. Thank you.
I love it. So like I mentioned very briefly, for me, I struggled with acne big time. And it sounds like you guys both did. I don't know what your timeline was, but for me, it started as early as middle school. And it was one of those things where it was so insanely emotionally debilitating, where every thought that entered my mind was, how can I get to the bathroom to cover this up with more makeup? Are they looking at it? This is so ugly. Can I put my hair in front of my face to cover it up? And honestly, even my skin has been clear, thank goodness, for, I don't know, probably the better part of a decade at this point, but it wasn't for a really long time. And this month I had a hormonal breakout, across my forehead. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am right back in that place of feeling emotionally disturbed by this. I'm a 14-year-old girl, 100%. Can you guys talk a little bit about each of your individual journeys with that? And how did you guys meet? And was it was that a foundational thing for you two that you bonded over? Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, and yes. So Kayleigh and I are both extremely acne prone. I am a lot more acne prone. I'm the the most acneic person that was ever created. So yeah, so I had to do, it's genetic, right? It's usually in some, either your mom had it, your dad had it,
Mm.
and it'll vary in degrees of severity depending on lifestyle factors, diet, other factors, et cetera. But there's a genetic component. So I had grade 4 cystic acne on both sides of my family well into adulthood. So I had to do Accutane over the course of a decade. I did Accutane 3 separate times, and it still came right back each time. And I had all the side effects. And in the middle of those rounds of Accutane, I was on antibiotics for years, spironolactone probably 4 separate times. We tried, all the retinates, all the topical antibiotics, all the light therapy, all the later lasers, literally tried everything. And at the age of like 29, the last round of Accutane failed, and I was like, fuck this, I'll figure it out myself. I happen to have a biology background. I studied genetics, biology, and immunology. So I went back to school to get acne related information.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to get that information just by like finding classes, et cetera, but you weren't able to access those classes unless you were an esthetician or in school. So I was like, all right, I'll enroll. And while I was in esthetician school, I saw that treating the skin was the medical profession I had always been craving, but didn't know existed. It never occurred to me to become an esthetician. So left the corporate world and shadowed under a bunch of people and started San Diego Acne Clinic. Had that business for 10 years, and Kayleigh here was one of my first patients.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I met Danielle when I was at my wits end with acne. I, similar to you, dealt with acne in the later half of middle school and beginning of high school. It was never aggressive cystic acne. So I was never put on prescriptions at that age, but I was put on really harsh topicals that ripped apart the whole bottom of my face. I was so embarrassed to go to school. I was like trying to cake on like foundation that was like peeling off so you could see like 3 different colors of my skin.
Yeah, one of them being like super red. Oh, I remember
And
that
I like
so well.
I developed this like weird mouth movement from it too, because I remember it was so tight and breaking all the time that I kept trying to like open my mouth to like feel free. If anyone's been on it,
Yeah.
I'm like totally blanking on the name of the topical I was on.
Was it different?
Yeah, that was it. I
Yeah.
was like, it's a D. Yep, it was different. That was so gnarly, and my skin was just, I was so embarrassed. It almost like looked worse than the acne. And then after that, through the rest of high school and college, I just dealt with your average like whiteheads. Nothing at the time I couldn't cover up with some makeup. Annoying, but never anything like detrimental yet. So then in my mid-20s, what felt like out of nowhere, I broke out with super inflamed, angry, cystic acne along my jawline, all up through both my cheeks. If anyone wants to see a before and after, it's pinned to both the top of ClearStem's Instagram or also mine, Kayleigh.Christina. I have the before pictures. And so I had never dealt with the cystic acne. I'm like, what? Like something's wrong with me. And at the same time, I was also studying holistic nutrition. So I was very passionate at the time about not wanting to take the prescription route. But I still didn't know where else to go. So I was going to every single doctor, specialist, and dermatologist I could possibly find over and over and over again. I was just handed birth control, antibiotics, and Accutane. And again, I was fighting against it this time. I really didn't want to go that route because I'm like, this is going against everything I'm studying and learning. I don't want to do that. So I put myself on every protocol I could possibly imagine, elimination diets, SIBO cleanse it, like you name it. Nothing was working. So I was so close. I started the process for Accutane because you have to take pregnancy tests. Like there's a whole layer of a few weeks of stuff you have to do. So I actually started the process because this was about like 8 or 9 months. I didn't want to leave the house. Like the emotional turmoil and mental health component was very serious for me. Did not want to leave the house or do any social functions at all. And I was like, I cannot live like this. I have to do Accutane. So thank goodness in the middle of that process, I Google searched one last time and up popped San Diego Acne Clinic. Like finally. And I was like reading all the reviews. I'm like someone gets me, someone gets me. So I visit Danielle. I had to be her last client of the day. So we literally had 3 hours together. And my whole world was opened up into actual acne nuances that no one is talking about. No one in the holistic world, no one in the Western medicine world. No one was even talking to me about pore clogging ingredients, how topically it could cause aggressive acne. Yeah. And so we found about 12 different acne triggers that I had, everything from like eggs to over supplementation of vitamin D to using pore clogging ingredients. eliminated all 12, got on a proper skincare routine, learned how to exfoliate in the correct way. Danielle put me on 4 products, and those 4 products really inspired our Clear Kit Now. But our Clear Kit Now, of course, is anti-acne and anti-aging while also being free of hormone disruptors. But these core 4, in a matter of 2 months, my skin was completely clear with no scar damage. And
Wow.
I will caveat that, had a little bit of scars at the same time. Danielle was developing what is now our Cell Renew serum. I started using our Cell Renew serum, which is our scar reversing serum. And then in another 4 to 6 weeks after that, all of my scars were gone.
Wow, that's insane. I feel like anyone who's listening who's dealt with acne, whether it's mild or severe, because like from both of what you guys are saying, like the stories just like felt like what you're saying, like when you said like somebody gets me, like I'm like, that is exactly what I went through. Like that is exactly how I felt, like where doctors were handing me birth control, and I did a course of Accutane, you know, where you just feel like you're not getting any other, I got rounds and rounds and rounds of antibiotics, different gel, like all the things that you guys said, were with no real clear answers. And so Danielle, since you were the one that was kind of talking about some of those like medication, you know, that you like did over the course of, it sounded like maybe even 10 years, like, what do you think about all of those now after with the degree that you have, and like going, you know, back to school, learning more about skin? Like, what do you think about those prescription medications, and are they actually doing more harm than good?
It's a big conversation because it's actually a reflection of our medical system.
Sure.
It's, you know, we never want to throw shade at dermatologists or doctors for the system that they're forced to operate within. You go to visit a dermatologist and it's about 12 minutes ish, right? Like they have a schedule, they have quotas, right? Most of them. So they just go through like checklists. Okay, are you on birth control? Okay, let's do antibiotics. Okay, if that doesn't work, here's spironolactone. When those fail, here's Accutane, right?
Yeah.
That is their playbook. The medication, if you're lucky, birth control can be like the thing that is like taking the batteries out of the smoke alarm, if you will, for a lot of girls. And it can give them a lot of, clear skin for, 7-10 years, however long they're on it. But then as soon as they get off, it can be a complete mess. And that's what we help coach people through. So that's just one thing. Spironolactone, total band-aid approach. If you're on it long term, it can just bottom out your testosterone, because that's what it does. Is it limits your androgens, your quote male hormones, right? Because those are the ones that when they spike create the most hormonal acne. So that's a band-aid approach. As soon as you get off it, comes right back. There is no root cause solution or anything, and there's side effects. I am like someone who needs a high. My acne was so strong that I was on the maximum dose of it, and my hair started to fall out. The pH of my lady parts started to change, and you're just like, this is just weird. And my acne is still kind of here because it wasn't addressing the root cause, right? So everyone has a different experience with Spiro and other things. And then antibiotics, we all know you should not be on those long term, especially because most acne is greatly caused, like a huge portion of it is caused by pore clogging ingredients, which have nothing to do with bacteria.
Yeah.
So you can be on antibiotics for years and still have the same acne if it's if it's coming from your products, right? So point is, all of these things are band-aid approaches, and they can make the root cause worse and or just delay you ever figuring out what the root cause is, so the cycle of suffering never ends.
Yeah.
And that's our bigger objective here, is to give people a systemized approach with, first things first, education on what could be causing it. You eliminate those, then you change your products, and you do it step by step with a rational, safe process that helps your entire body holistically.
Okay, I think that's super helpful. And like what you were saying, I think that you gave Kayleigh those like 12 things for her. Kayleigh, I don't want to put you on the spot right now if you can't remember those 12 things, but is there any way that you could go down like a list just for like most people of like what is their potential root cause? Because I think that that's such a better way to approach any medical diagnosis, whether it's skin, gut, hormones, you know, anything. What's the root cause versus like, I'm gonna put this band-aid on, and then when I go off it because I want to get pregnant, or I go off it because I want to go off it, like it comes like raging back.
Absolutely. I'll put it into buckets for you. So the first one was skin. That's topically. That's so important to know, because you can be doing all the internal work, all the protocols, all the diets. And if you're not addressing the external, you won't ever actually get clear. It's still holding you back. So for skin, I was using products that had pore clogging ingredients in them. At the time,
why are those?
I was gonna say at the time, I had no idea what this meant. Like, I just want to be very clear. So you might have seen in the past, just even since we were in high school, like seeing the word non-comedogenic on things. The average person, me at the time, no idea what that meant. So non-comedogenic, non-pore clogging, and non-acnegenic, which is a newer term, all mean the same thing. So if you are putting products on your skin that clog your pores, that means it's physically getting in your pore too thick to be exfoliated out, and it's getting stuck in there. Your skin protein, keratin, is growing over top of it. It's going to clog a pore and cause acne. So again, if you are using any products that are physically clogging your pores, that will always cause acne. And
So
not
you
all,
want the non-comedogenic.
correct.
Correct.
Non-comedogenic, you want non-acnegenic, you want non-pore clogging. For people who don't aggressively struggle with acne, but suffer from texture issues, they're like, oh, my skin looks a little dull. Oh, I see little bumps, but it's, quote, not acne. Those are clogged pores. So even people, it's really important to note that even for the anti-aging process, if you want to age well and age gracefully, it's also very important to use non-pore clogging, non-comedogenic products. You want to check all of your skincare, makeup, and most overlooked, hair conditioner for this. Even if you sleep your hair up within a bun, even if you wash your pillowcase every single night, which you don't need to do, by the way, it's still, your hair conditioner still gets on your pillow, and then you move in the middle of the night, and your cheek and face at some point is on the pillow. So it's not, you can buy a $300 mulberry silk pillowcase and it's still going to make you break out. So it doesn't matter about the pillowcase. So pore clogging ingredients, a great way to check this. We made it so easy. You can head to our website under our pore clogging ingredients checker, go through all of your skincare, makeup, hair conditioner, or any leave-in hair products you also use, copy and paste the ingredient deck into it with a quick Google search, and it'll show up red if it has a pore clogger in it. And you can double check on the list below as well. We have it listed all out for you. So pore clogging ingredients, and I was not exfoliating properly. I didn't even know what proper exfoliation meant. And we can dive into this a little bit later, like talking about a proper skincare routine, but you need to have a healthy balance of a physical and a chemical exfoliant, and a healthy chemical exfoliant that's not too harsh for your skin. It's like the Goldilocks. We love mandelic acid. It's our clarity serum. But it's you got to have that sweet spot and know how to properly exfoliate for your skin. So that was the skin bucket of what was causing my acne. For food, the top ones were I was eating eggs every single day. Eggs have something in it, and in the egg whites called albumin protein, which is really hard for our lymph system to break down. So people who are eating eggs, they're going to see breakouts around their jawline and a little under their jaw as well.
Interesting. That's so interesting, because I started eating a lot, and I don't eat the yolks, but I eat the whites, like, because I just needed more animal protein in my diet. And so probably a year ago, I started eating a ton of egg whites, and that is exactly where I get breakouts. That's so wild.
Yep. I was on a flight and I was starving, and they served an omelet for breakfast, and I was like, screw it. I'll just try it. Like, I'm, see what the threshold is. 'Cause you always retry things, right? You're human. Immediately. And it'll happen like the next day. That's how you can actually tell. Like, it's right under the neck right there.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. And it is specifically the egg whites in it. Those are the troublemakers. The egg yolks actually aren't. That's where all the nutrients and protein are. It's mainly in the yolks. And the egg whites are the little troublemakers. And then in the food category as well, gluten was a big thing for me. Gluten doesn't necessarily cause breakouts in everyone, but it does cause gut permutation. So wherever you're dealing, you bio individual are struggling with inflammation, gluten will trigger that area. So for some people, it's joint pain. For some people, it's sinus issues. It's bloating. It's inflammation of the gut. For people who are more acne prone, it usually comes out in acne for them. So gluten is my, or gluten and acne are tied together for my body. Yeah. The third one, this wasn't as big of a one for me, but I think it's so important to note. The number one food related cause of acne is dairy.
Yes.
Yeah. And the sneaky ones though is whey protein and milk protein isolate. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't drink milk and I barely eat cheese, but do they know it's in their protein powder or on the go nutrition bars, or it's snuck into a lot of things. So you want to just always check the ingredient label, look out for whey protein, milk protein isolate. It has a lot of different names, but it'll come back down to that whey milk verbiage on the ingredient deck. Okay. Another big one for me at the time was energy drinks. So
because they're acting as like a stressor on your body. Is that why?
So it actually has like 3 different things that are triggering acne in the energy drink. So yes, a lot of time people are waking up and having an energy drink and going straight into a workout. So it's shooting cortisol through the roof. It's shooting testosterone up. It's dysregulating blood sugar. It's causing a really stressful environment for the body. Yeah. That's number 1. Number 2 is if you turn over and actually look at the ingredient deck, Celsius is the biggest problem causer for people, because if you turn it over, you'll see it has an insane amount of biotin and B12 in it. And those are major acne triggers. It's like out of control. I forget, I posted on my stories the other day, I think it was 1,000% of your RDV of biotin.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And PSA here, we actually loved Celsius. Like Kayleigh would get like cases of it and we would just go ham, and we would have like several a day and we were both like breaking out like crazy from it. If you are not acne prone, Celsius is it's the jam, right? Like it's like the best one out there. It's so good, but it has a ton of caffeine, 1,000% RDV of B12 and 1,000% RDV of biotin.
I think a lot of people don't know that about biotin and B12. They're like taking it for their hair and they're taking it as a supplement and they don't know that. That's really good information.
Yeah. So this info is specifically for people who are acne prone.
Yeah. Okay. And then it does have a lot of in the other ingredient section of Celsius too, which we didn't know this at the time, but it has cyanocobalamin, which causes liver stagnation, and also sucralose, which causes gut dysbiosis. So it's also wreaking havoc on your liver and your gut at the same time too. So it's just like,
which are your detoxification, pathways, organs, whatever you want to call it. And like, obviously if it's not coming out that way, it's going to come out through your skin.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let Danielle jump into the next ones, because the next buckets are in regards to vitamins. And these ones are so key because she always has to remind all of her patients every time they come in if they're taking new supplements. And a lot of people forget that they are. And she has to really break these down. So I'll let Danielle pick up the vitamins portion of this.
Yes. Okay, so everyone who is healthy takes vitamins, right? Like if you're health conscious, you're active, you're actively trying to take care of your health, chances are you're taking some vitamins. What people don't realize is devil is in the dosage, right? Dosage is so specific for everything. But there are some vitamins that in excess spike testosterone and create hormonal acne. So people are like, my acne is so hormonal, I don't know what to do. And they're on spironolactone, yet it's being caused by their B complex vitamin. So at B12 specifically is in obscenely high doses. You can see like a liquid one can have 100,000% RDV. Your average nootropic or energy drink can have 1,000 to like 10,000. Like we're seeing obscene doses, right? So those will absolutely break people out, and they tend to get you right along the jawline. That's like the most common place that I see B12 spiking it for people. Another one in excess is controversial, but it's vitamin D. So vitamin D, you don't want to be deficient, of course. And we, objectively, a lot of us are. We don't get enough sunshine. We don't get enough cofactors like vitamin K, et cetera, et cetera. But vitamin D is fat soluble. So if you're taking it and it's a high dose, like if it's a standalone vitamin D, chances are it has 600 to 800% RDV. So 6 to 8 times what you would normally, need to get. And that's not counting dietary sources as well. So you're supplementing with no end date and it's fat soluble. So it builds up in your system. Vitamin D in excess raises testosterone. That is a well-documented relationship. When men get older and they start getting low T, that's like the first thing their doctors suggest. But no one puts it in the context for acne. So it's a big miss. And I see it affect everyone. And if you're like, oh my God, this might be me. If you're getting cystic acne on your chin where you'd have a goatee and you're taking a vitamin D supplement, it's probably because of that.
Wow.
So take a break for a month or two. You're probably not that deficient anymore. Take a break. You'll see the inflammation go down and you'll know that that was, too much for you. And then you can dose down. You can reintroduce things like every 4th day or every other day, just depending on the dosage, right? And then
I
make
love
sure
that.
you get some actual sunlight. And then the other one that spikes testosterone in high amounts that we see every year during cold and flu season is zinc. So you don't want to be deficient in zinc. That can, throw off hormones as well. But if you start taking a standalone zinc supplement, it generally has like 300% RDV, and that creates a lot of acne. I see it around the mouth. I see that every single year.
I think that these things, like what you're saying, like around the, and by the way, first of all, just like with like the zinc or the vitamin D, I think that so many of us are told or taught to believe that like those are things that are going to be helpful for your acne, especially the zinc one. And it's like, oh wait, everything in moderation, like literally everything. We always like forget that. And I think some of these things like that you guys are talking about are things that no one would necessarily put the pieces together in terms of acne causes and knowing that. So I think this is all really helpful and new information for a lot
Thank
of
you.
people, which is great.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. It is because, your derm isn't going to be looking at those things. They're going to be, their whole cycle is matching you with prescriptions. So this isn't even part of the conversation.
No, not at all. So one of the things that you were just talking about, Danielle, is like the kind of like placement of things. So like we were saying, like, if you're eating egg whites, like you might see it come out here underneath your jawline, for those who aren't watching the video. If like, let's say if you're getting them like on your cheeks, or like for me, I just got like a huge breakout thing on my forehead. Like, are there any causes for those two areas that you guys can like attribute it to?
So getting into the face mapping conversation, yes, there are clues, but I find that the general face mappings that you can like find are wildly incomplete because they don't factor in makeup, and that's a huge part, makeup and skincare. So, but there are some clues. So on the chin where you'd have a goatee is either going to be dairy or excess vitamin D.
Okay.
Right. On the cheeks, if it's in like a line, like it's almost like a line, right? Like it's super inflamed, like in your bronzer stripe, but then right above it and right below it is totally fine. That's generally lymphatic. So that can be gluten. It's almost generally always gluten, actually, right there. Gluten or eggs can affect that area because both of those are proteins that are hard for us to digest. So they bother our lymph system. So that's why those two kind of present in the same area. Forehead is usually sugar and dehydration, also caffeine. Tied to the whole thing, right?
Okay.
So yeah, if I go to Vegas, I know my forehead's going to be a hot mess no matter what I do, right? Because it's dehydration, usually alcohol, it's just like, so the forehead is sugar, dehydration, caffeine. Temples is caffeine.
Okay.
Jawline is generally, it can be excess vitamin D, excess B12, and other hormonal or digestion related stuff. Right under the neck is lymphatic, detox, and eggs.
Okay. That's super helpful for
and
all
then
of our listeners.
And then when we have seen it all over, it's usually a combination of a lot of those. It's very rarely just one thing. It's a combination. Plus, when it's really aggressive all over, it can also be infection and bacteria related inside the body as well, where the body is just like fighting it and fighting it, fighting it. And then you almost have this toxic overload that it's already trying to fight this bacteria infection going on in the body. And then it's also dairy, it's eggs, it's gluten, it's caffeine, it's all of these things, which is why we always recommend the simple checklist of the things we just chatted through. Like, have out your pen and paper, write down those things, work on eliminating those first so you can see where the acne clears and what's left over to go from there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's a great recommendation, is go back, like re-listen, write things down and see what stands out to you personally, and then start working your way back.
So a lot of people just want to jump to like, it's hormones, it's SIBO, it's gut, it's this and that. And they want to get on these intense protocols and all of these things, but ever addressing pork-like ingredients, dairy, eggs, caffeine, like the simple things that way you can really dig deep to get to the root cause after, if you're still struggling after that.
Yeah, those simple things like pork-logging ingredients, diet and vitamins, that is going to pretty much solve it for about 80% of people. So before you start thinking you need to like do this whole overhaul of your life, just go check your products. If you find out your makeup is what's breaking you out, switch that out. That might be 80% of your change right there. You know what I mean? So like, start with the smaller, more meaningful stuff. That's what we always encourage people. That way it makes sense and it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Hi, I'm Kayleigh Namiro, your host, certified holistic hormone coach, and Pilates instructor for the WBK method. You can consider me your guide in helping you to curate the best version of yourself from the inside out, from feeling physically better by optimizing your health and hormones, to feeling mentally and emotionally better by creating a more deep and grounded connection connection with yourself. That's why I created the Break Free from Self-Sabotage and Create Consistency 30-day program. In this program, I will work with you as a group to help you align with your values, understand your personal roadblocks that have held you back in the past, and create an empowered path forward by releasing perfectionism, fear of failure, busyness, and other forms of self-sabotage so that you can create consistency with the habits that are going to help you balance your hormones in a holistic way so that you can lose weight, have more energy, maintain a balanced mood, and achieve the results that you've been wanting. This year, it's time to make yourself proud, to follow through, to build that confidence by creating self-trust. If you're ready to experience more peace, presence, energy, comfort, and confidence in your body and mind, I would love to support you in doing that. This program includes group coaching calls led by me, where you'll also have time to ask questions for individualized support. A 30-day calendar of recipes, workouts, and guided meditations to help you lower cortisol, balance blood sugar, and build lean muscle to boost metabolism, and weekly workshops where we will work through the calendar together and get that community support that motivates us. To learn more about this, head to the link in the show notes or to wellnessbykayleigh.com and learn more about Break Free and Create Consistency.
Danielle, one of the things you mentioned is like, it's genetic, right?
The predisposition. Yeah. It's
right?
genetic.
Like I know that because of the fact like my dad had it really, really bad when he was in high school. And then, same timeline, like there I am with it. And then my sister ends up with like the most like beautiful clear skin. So there is like a very strong genetic component. Is there like for those young girls out there or like moms of young girls who are in middle school and high school listening, would you say like by doing these things, like let's say like they remove eggs, they remove the caffeine, like are they doing things that are preventative at that point from pulling that genetic trigger?
So such a good question. So there's what we're genetically predisposed to, and then there's, epigenetics, like all the things
Yes.
that make it present. It's hard when you have teenagers. At San Diego Acne Clinic, we actually don't treat people under the age of 15.
Oh.
We generally screen for that because it's the diet and the desire to make changes to support your health. It has to do with maturity level. There's like a click, right? And I, I hate to lump all teenagers into that category, but generally the diet that they've been put on, that they're given at school, and that their food, the friends are eating, it's all crap, right? So it's very hard to correct that. So you got to teach your kid, okay, so how do you feel when you have just sugar in the morning? Or how do you, you got to get your kid like at least conscious of what they're eating in order for it to even like start working. And then parents need to just like stop buying the dairy, like start buying other things for the household that can make it so it's not, so bad if it ever does hit. And then also just making sure that the products they, buy their kids, even if it's just a sunscreen and a lotion or a sunscreen and a face wash, make sure those don't have pore cloggers, because the hormonal, shifts that happen with puberty and, just the stressors that come with that time of life. Like if you're acne prone, it's going to present, but you can help it not be as, awful if you're eliminating some of the core triggers in the household.
Perfect. That's a really great answer. Kayleigh, one of the things that you were mentioning that helped you a lot was the like getting a skincare routine that like was actually really solid versus maybe what you were doing before. And one of the specific things that you had said was like around exfoliation. And I think that that's especially with people with acne, it's such a confusing topic because I know that like, oh my gosh, I remember like a time when I was like probably like 13 and I had like this horrible facial and she's like, I'm just going to give you like a peel. And then it was like the different situation where like my whole face was like completely like melted off. I was like scarred for life. I couldn't go to school. Like it was horrible. And so there has to be like, and then you hear people say like, oh, if you exfoliate too much, you're maybe like you'll produce more oil, or like if you don't do it at all, then so like, what is the right amount? And like, what should people at home, especially who are breakout prone, be doing?
This is something I really had to learn and understand because we are so conditioned. I think a lot of us are scarred by that apricot scrub circa 2006 that just like destroyed our faces. And then a lot of people are scarred from peels too, just because they went to someone who didn't properly do peels, or they went to someone who did a peel and then put pore clogging moisturizer on their skin after and caused an insane reaction. So I just want to be super clear that peels can be when done right, like Danielle does in her clinic, can be so beneficial for scar damage. Again, when done right and slowly and testing the skin, and most importantly, not using any pore clogging ingredients after you've just completely exfoliated your skin. So let's talk about proper home use. And it really, our goal is to get people to a starting point and then have them become more intuitive with their skin, because everyone is a little different. So for instance, if you live in a humid environment, like in the South, like Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, parts of Virginia, all of that, you're going to be able to exfoliate a little bit more because of the humid conditions. And if your skin is already a little bit oilier, because you're more acne prone, you can handle that. Versus if you are in drier climates, you will not be able to exfoliate as much and you'll need to balance it. So it's about getting to a starting point, which we always recommend people exfoliate about 2 to 3 days a week and then go up and down from there. And then also just be aware when you're traveling or if your skin's drier. So 2 types of exfoliation.
Are we exfoliating before we cleanse or after we cleanse?
After you cleanse, you just want to remove dirt, makeup, anything that's just, you want to get your makeup off first. And even if you don't have any makeup on, it's good to just get whatever's been collecting from the day. You also want to exfoliate at night, because that way your skin can optimally heal overnight and you're not having any increased sun exposure. Or just, exfoliating and then putting makeup back on is also not super ideal either. You want to let your skin breathe and really heal overnight. So 2 types of exfoliation: physical, where you like had beads in it. The ones we use, it's a bamboo mesh. So it's a very soft, gentle, but effective scrub. So it's one that you can consistently use. And some people are at the point with their acne where they're exfoliating every single day. So it can be an everyday exfoliator. So that's our vitamin scrub. That's the physical. And then you have chemical. That's our clarity serum. We love mandelic acid. You might have heard of salicylic acid, glycolic acid. Glycolic, Danielle loves for peels in her clinic, but not for everyday use. They can increase sun damage to the skin, and actually it can be one of those cases that we just talked about where it can be too much exfoliation for the skin, where it's destroying the skin barrier if you're doing that every single day over and over and over again. So mandelic acid is our favorite because you put it on, and then it gets all of its work done in about 15 minutes, and then it stops after that. So you're not having this increased damage and sun exposure over time. So an ideal routine at night would be wash your face with a nice gentle cleanser, scrub for anywhere from about 5 to 10 seconds. Again, this is where you can tone it up and tone it down yourself with what your skin needs. I run drier, so I do about 5 seconds. Danielle runs oilier. She can exfoliate for longer. Right after that, you're going to pat your skin dry and you're going to do a couple pumps of the Clarity Serum. You're going to put this on, let it sit alone for about 10 to 15 minutes. This is when it's going to do its work. So mandelic acid gets in your pore, eats away at the clog that doesn't belong. At the same time, we've coupled it with vitamin C. So it's going to drive vitamin C even deeper into the pore to help even skin texture, brighten your skin. And mandelic acid is also collagen stimulating. So it's going to help with wrinkles and just smoothing out and giving your skin that overall bright, glow, smooth look.
So I'm guessing that, like, for me, I'm somebody who to this day, like, I don't have scars, but like the discoloration still bothers me. I'm guessing that would be like a
so
really
much.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Melasma, discoloration, pigmentation, all of it.
For our pregnant ladies out there, can they use that, or is that not okay for pregnancy?
Yeah, so we avoid all the known contraindications for pregnancy, which are retinol and salicylic. So generally everything that we use is on the standardly approved list. We always tell people like, hey, every pregnancy is unique. Everyone has different standards they want to uphold, especially if it's a high risk pregnancy. So just take the ingredient deck or the website, show it to your OBG while you're in the office with them. So all of our products currently are in the pregnancy safe, spot. But except our vitamin, our hormonal acne supplement, obviously you don't want to take anything that's a hormonal modifier while you're pregnant.
Okay. Before I ask you about kind of endocrine disruptors and toxins in like a lot of other products, I know you guys don't have those in yours. I want to ask you about that since you just brought it up. The hormone, it's a supplement, right? So
yeah,
so are you doing this for women who are like estrogen dominant? Like, who is the candidate for this?
It's literally nearly everybody. So the way that this got developed and transpired is, when I have clinic patients and I know there's something going on internally, like you can just tell, like you can tell it's lymphatic, they never poop, you can just tell when there's something going on internally, right? I've had a very talented blood work person that I've been working with for the last decade, actually had several, but this woman has like 30 years experience, naturopath, like Western and Eastern trained, like she's amazing. So I would send my patients to her, and I personally was treated by her because my acne was so relentless. And everyone came back with the same set of stuff. When I say everyone, I'm using the 80-20 rule here. Like literally, like 80% of people, the majority of them had the same stuff going on. There were a couple outliers that maybe had like a crazy parasite that they picked up or something like that. But most people are suffering from poor digestion, generally of protein or fat. Sluggish liver from being on birth control forever, or just from just environmental toxic load, just living in our modern world. Lack of proper vitamin A. Vitamin A internally is actually really important for those of us with acne. It helps what's called the desquamation process, the natural shedding and natural exfoliation of our skin. So we need a little bit more of that. And then we also have issues with estrogen, like it can be estrogen dominance, estrogen conversion, et cetera, et cetera. And that happens in the liver predominantly. So we address that. And then we also put digestive enzymes in there, turmeric for inflammation. And then 5-HTP is the really special part because stress is one of the biggest causes of acne. And 5-HTP, for those who aren't familiar, is a serotonin builder. And since we make most of our serotonin in our gut, and most of us with acne, our guts have been through a lot because of all the antibiotics and the birth control. We maybe don't have as much of that power in there. So when you handle the stress component as well, everything else starts calming down. So long story short, the supplement has a solid amount of vitamin A, but not near the toxic level at all. So enough to actually make a difference. And then DIM, which helps with estrogen balancing and estrogen conversion. Gives the liver the support that it needs there. And then just actual liver and lymphatic detox. That's where dandelion and milk thistle come in. Then there are protease enzymes which help with protein digestion, and hydrochloric acid, which helps with all other digestion. And then the 5-HTP, and then B5, which is another really kick-ass vitamin for acne. B5 also helps with digestion, but it really helps with androgen control and oil control, which is essentially what spironolactone does. So like people are like, can I take this instead of spironolactone? Yes, absolutely. It will do what Spiro does pretty much with like 6 other things that your body is asking for.
That's amazing. That's like the most complete supplement that I've ever heard for acne. And like you said, like what most people are dealing with root cause wise, especially if it comes to hormones. I love that. That's incredible. I feel like I need to get like certain clients on this. That's really, really great.
Well, why we love it so much too is that it's an alternative for people where the pharmaceutical route, they've already done it. Like me, I can't go on Accutane again. I'll die. Right.
Yeah.
So, so it's for people that have already exhausted all of that route, don't want to put their bodies to it, or just need an extra wingman. Like some people just take it during PMS, or they just take it when they're going to go eat, a bunch of pizza or something like that. So it really is a support tool, and you can see results in like 5 to 7 days is when it starts to kick in for most people.
Wow. That's incredible. So speaking of the one thing that you just touched on that I want to get clarity on for our listeners, because I know there are going to be people who are wondering, what are your thoughts on women being on the birth control pill if they're trying to get rid of their acne?
Kayleigh knows this one all too well.
I was on it for 10 years.
Same.
So I don't think you're offending anyone. What I want to do is just provide education, because I think that a lot of people are blissfully unaware of what it's doing.
I'm a big fan of informed consent, and I believe the Western medical system is not set up for that. They don't actually talk through, and a lot of them don't really know the holistic long-term side effects. And the response is just, well, there's no white paper on that. But because who is going to pay for a clinical study against birth control for acne? No one's going to fund that. So, the pill is one of the most notorious for what Danielle just said, taking the batteries out of the smoke alarm. And I was someone who was also on birth control for 10 years and ended up going through testosterone rebound effect whenever I got off of it, because I didn't get off of it properly. There's an amazing book by Dr. Jolene Brighton called Beyond the Pill. It's incredible. So if you're someone who's currently on the pill and just wants to understand more about what it's doing for your body, if you're someone that wants to get off of it or change birth controls and just be more educated about it, again, for the informed consent, I highly recommend reading that book. And it tells you what vitamins and nutrients that birth control depletes your body on. And so you could be depleted of certain key nutrients for over 10, 15, 20 years that build up over time, that when you get off birth control can really open up the door for autoimmune conditions and other issues going on with the body. So I'm not a fan of it for getting on for acne reasons. It really hurts my heart that girls that are 13, 14, 15 are getting put on it for quote mood swings and acne when that's not the purpose of it. And then these women are dealing with all of these issues they didn't know about at 30 years old because no one actually educated them about it. So I'm not a fan of the pill specifically as a birth control method, just because of the cascade effects it can create later in life from being on it for so long. But again, if you're waiting for the book to come in, I highly recommend just looking up on podcast Dr. Jolene Brighton and just listening to one of the podcasts she's been on. It can just really open up your eyes. What I love about her is she doesn't take an opinion for or against it. She just informs and educates what it actually does in your body, which is cuts off communication between your uterus and your brain. So you don't want anything cutting off communication between an organ and your brain long term. Yeah. So again, her resources are invaluable to just help inform yourself and the decision you want to make for your body.
I think that you couldn't have not have said it better. And I think that she really is. I love her Instagram. I love her books. Like, she's just a really great resource for facts and information. Because I went through the same thing. I was on it for 10 years and then I came off of it. And then I had this huge acne flare up underneath, like right underneath my lips on like both sides, left and right. And it was just like insane. I'm like, where did this come from? And it was like right before my wedding. It was super stressful. So yes, I hear you on that. And I think that if more people knew about what was going on and the vitamin deficiencies and the dysbiosis and all of these different things, they may make a different choice. So definitely go out and listen to her and get her book. I would highly recommend that as well. That being said, I want to go into with you guys, like all of your products are free of hormone, endocrine disruptors, toxins, all of that stuff. So talk to us about, I don't want you to like call out any like brands that aren't, but like what should people be looking out for in terms of like their skincare if they have stuff at home already to know, oh shoot, this could be causing hormonal issues.
Hormonal issues when it comes to skincare, I mean, the biggest ones are going to be like, say, like something that's really heavy with hydroquinone or something like that. You're not going to ever really have
banned in like the EU, but it's not here in the US.
A lot. And you can actually go to Muesli and get like a 12%, which is insanely high, right? Yeah. So anyway, you're not going to have the one-to-one understanding or seeing it if you're using something topically that messes with hormones and knowing that that's the thing. It's more just like a consciousness around everything that's being put on your skin and what there's like the Credo clean list and there's like the dirty list out there. That UWG is a great resource. They have a lot of data gaps and usage cases that don't get full context, but nothing's ever full context. So I would say just, using the tools, there's like the Yucca app, there's things like that. But again, all the ones I just mentioned, they're fantastic if you're really focused on solving for endocrine disruptors and toxins. If you're like my acne is the main thing that I'm trying to solve right now, you got to check for pore clogging ingredients. You do that by copy and pasting the ingredients and putting it into the checker on our website. So there's two different things that people are trying to solve for. And we, on that note, want to make it very clear that clean does not equal acne safe. Clean beauty breaks people out all the time because it doesn't address pore cloggers. It just addresses the toxins. So people need to kind of bifurcate that in their minds and like what are they actually solving for?
That's a really great distinction because I think you're right. I think a lot of people will be like, oh, this is clean. Like it's going to be good for my skin. But I mean, even me, like who's somebody who's pretty educated in the health and wellness world, I wouldn't necessarily have thought that. So I think that that's super helpful. But I think that when somebody comes to a brand like your guys's too, it's like, I don't even have to put ingredients in. I just know, like, I know because of the brand, I know because of their values, I know because of like, this is what's important to them, that like, no matter what product I'm buying, that's what I'm going to get. So if somebody is new to your guys' line, what, like, you said, I think you said there's a kit, right? And I think I've seen it online a bunch of different places.
Yes.
What's the kit include? And is that like where everyone should start if they're like making a new purchase with you?
Yeah, the two places we recommend everyone start is, of course, the pore clogging ingredients list. And that's a very free way to start because it can pick out which products you do need to replace. So start there. And then we highly recommend you take our quiz. It's going to help direct you on what products, but also it's going to give you education on a lot of what we talked about in this podcast too, as well, and kind of tie it up in a little bow for you where to start. But we do highly recommend our Clear Kit, which is our core 4 products. It is our vitamin scrub, cell renewal, Hydra Glow, and Clarity. Sorry, I said them out of order. Vitamin scrub, Clarity are 2 exfoliation products I talked about. So vitamin scrub, Clarity, cell renewal, and Hydra Glow. I'm like, what color am I missing in my head right now? So the green one, the yellow one, the blue one, and the purple one. And that's
like the 4-step skincare that they should be doing. Maybe not every day with the exfoliators, but they should be doing, regularly.
That's like the cornerstone of a clinically effective like skincare line. Like, so the sunscreen is, separate. Everyone needs the sunscreen too. And the supplement is different. That's the internal side. But the kit is like, okay, if I incorporate this into my life, I'm going to see massive change in like a week.
And if somebody's in the San Diego area and they come into your clinic, what are they doing? Are they like getting a facial with you? Are they doing blood work with you? What are they doing to uncover why they have acne in the first place?
Thanks for asking that. So we have a process that is like the inverse of a typical Western medicine appointment. So it's about 90 minutes. So you bring in everything that you're using or screenshots of the ingredients. Along with all your vitamins. So we have a whole checklist that we go through, questions about birth control, gluten, proteins that you're eating, eggs, dairy, any other medications, a lot of like stimulants like Adderall and some antidepressants that have a stimulant effect like Wellbutrin can cause acne. So we ask for stuff like that. So we spend about 30 minutes just going through all the possible triggers and making tweaks right then and there. Like, for example, if someone's first meal is an all fruit smoothie, it's like, okay, we're switching to low glycemic fruits, we're adding spinach, and we're finding a protein or healthy fat to mix in with that. So it's kind of troubleshooting just like what you're doing at home factor. And then the actual treatment is a combination of very light chemical peels that are like a really nice blend. I spend the first like 15 minutes just softening the skin, and then I do like a microderm, and that basically excavates the pores for extraction. We do as many extractions as possible, and we show them to them in a big napkin. And then we seal you up with some salicylic and maybe another layer of peel, just depending on what's needed. And then we do our stem cell serum and our Hydroglow moisturizer, sunscreen. So it's all about correction for the point of softening and exfoliation for the point of extractions, then sealing it back up, and then immediately getting back to barrier restoring. But the benefit is you get super smooth even the next day.
I love
you're smoother the next day, and it should just be forward trajectory after that, because by then we've also eliminated the root causes.
I love that. I bet the most satisfying part of your job is extracting people for that long of a period of time. I know that's what it would be for me.
It never gets old, and every extraction tells a story too, because it's like if it's just like kind of whitish and soft, it's just their own natural skin protein and oil.
Yeah.
If it's like a hard, like yellowish ball of wax, like, okay, that's from like a pore clogger. If it's like a yellow, hard orange ball of wax, that's from coconut oil usually. So you can totally see the pores all tell a story of what was actually causing it. And then that verifies what we learned during the discovery part. So
fascinating. I love that. I got to come see you just for the sake of that. Okay. So the last question that I always ask everyone who comes on the show, I feel like, I mean, even when you guys got on today, like you guys are like building this incredible business. Like you guys are everywhere on Instagram right now. You guys have like so many incredible products that, you have out. I'm sure you are launching even more. How do you balance? I'm sure you have beautiful personal lives that we haven't even touched on. So how do you balance all of the chaos?
How do we balance it? A lot of massages.
A lot of massages. I would say part of it is accepting periods of life that don't have as much balance as you would want, and recognizing that, and then finding where you do want the balance. Danielle and I love to travel, and we'll work on the road too. And so giving ourselves that grace of allowing ourselves to travel and enjoy experiences while still just being on email and present, but not holding back any parts of life because we
Yeah.
feel like we have to give 1,000,000% to our company and 0% to ourselves.
Right.
And so really allowing ourselves to still experience life while we're building this company is so important. And then Danielle and I each have like our favorite wellness vices, whether it's like massages and lymphatic drainage massages, acupuncture, all of those things. We're obsessed with all of it.
Yeah.
And so like having time for that. We also prioritize sleep. We don't have work meetings 99% of the time before 10 a.m. because that's our time. Like we get to go to yoga, Pilates, sauna, sleep,
Be away from your
out,
phone.
be away from our phone. And so, except for special circumstances, we don't schedule meetings for 10 a.m. to really give ourselves that grace because we can't show up and run our business if we don't feel good. We can't be great leaders. I mean, if you deplete yourself, you're impatient, you're stressed, you're feeling really overwhelmed. And Danielle, what's the amazing quote on the back of your phone that you always say about stress and getting worked up?
You can be relaxed and dedicated. Just because you stress out more doesn't mean you care more.
Yes. So living by that.
I love that. Anything you want to add, Danielle?
Man, I think Kayleigh hit a lot of them, but like we both are so we fuel ourselves down to the type of water that we drink and the electrolytes that we, everything is just like we're filling our cup mentally, emotionally, physically so much so that we can be our best because we've all experienced burnout. And we know that this is like, appear like a sprint, if you will. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but in the course of our life, this is a sprint. So we're just like hyper aware of that. We check in with each other. If I see, Kayleigh and I see each other's calendars of like, if there's a call she doesn't need to be on, I'm like, dude, you don't need to be on this. Go for a walk. Like we always look out for each other that way too. We both have our own therapists. We have healthy relationships. And we just kind of prioritize the things that fill us up. And we're pretty good now about when we feel like we're, we need some time, we take it and we like recognize that as also highly valuable.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's part of being like, especially because you guys are doing this together. Like it's so cool that you can offer each other that counterbalance, like, because a lot of entrepreneurs like don't necessarily do that. Like I remember again, like I loved working with my sister. I've said that on the show before, but we would always like, it would like be like putting more pressure on each other. So the fact that you guys can do that and offer each other that type of support, I think is really, really cool. That's awesome. So we know that the kit is where people should start. Is there any like one favorite product that you guys love or a new product coming out that you can tell us about?
We just had a product launch yesterday, actually.
Yay.
Yeah, it's like for an acne company, we did things so differently. We started with a stem cell serum, but yeah, we waited till now to launch a spot treatment. But yeah, it's our spot treatment.
Awesome. That's amazing. Oh, that's so perfect. And like you said, your ingredients are safe. So like people who are pregnant or whatever could use that as well.
For liability reasons, we can't always just say, yes, this is safe if you're pregnant. Because
show
someone
your
could
doctor.
listen to that.
Show your doctor.
Yeah, talk to your doc. But yeah, it does not have any of the known contraindications.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, the spot treatment's really special though, because normally a spot treatment is like aggressive benzoyl peroxide and it just like annihilates your barrier and all those things make you age worse, right? So our line's anti-aging and anti-acne, right? So all the formulas are with that in mind. So this one has sulfur instead of benzoyl peroxide. And then also zinc, which is anti-inflammatory topically. And then it actually doesn't smell bad. Normally sulfur stinks. We made this one smell amazing. So it's like a lavender purple. It's really, really fun. It's a great spot treatment.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I'll have to get that as well. You guys have been amazing. I could literally talk to you all day. You guys are so full of so much information, which I really do feel like separates you apart from like just, like there's so many Instagram girlies out there like talking about acne or like the things that you can do. And like this episode was just so packed full of like new information that even I didn't know. And so I'm really grateful to you guys for letting our listeners in on all of the knowledge that you have because it's a lot. And so thank you. Thank you
for being such a great interviewer.
Thank you so much, Kayleigh.
Where can everybody find you guys? Where can everybody find ClearStem? Let us know all the things and I'll link it all up in the show notes for everybody.
across all social channels. You can find us at ClearStem Skincare, and then Danielle's personal. We're both really active on our own personal Instagrams with information, education, and then more founder business related things as well. So Danielle's is Danielle the Acne Guru, and mine is Kayleigh.Christina.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. You can follow me on Instagram at Wellness by Kayleigh, or head over to our website, wellnessbykayleigh.com. Sign up now for the Wellness by Kayleigh 7-day free trial on our app, or head over to our course and now get 20% off the course or 10% off of the membership with the code Balancing Chaos, all one word, BALANCINGCHAOS. In our course, you'll get access to an emailed lab review plus protocols built out to help you heal with whatever hormonal imbalance you're struggling with. With our membership, you'll receive a library of content with our app with low impact workouts, blood sugar balancing recipes, and mindfulness meditations, all designed to help you balance your hormones and help you feel like you are living your most beautiful, joyful, and vital life. If you like the show, please leave a rating and review. That is the best way to help the show grow and get to more listeners. We hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week.